Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining the Office of New Student Orientation's webinar on freshman orientation. We're going to begin in just 1 minute as folks continue to log on, so hold tight and we'll begin in just one moment. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our second webinar of the semester. My name is Noah Sheridan. I use he, him pronouns, and I've had the pleasure of serving as a graduate assistant for communication and special projects in the Office of New Student Orientation. The Office of New Student Orientation is excited that you all have joined us on this Monday evening, morning, world. And so in this webinar, we aim to answer your questions you have pertaining to your upcoming freshman orientation session this summer. But before we begin with questions, we have a few amazing staff members on the call from orientation, the University Advising Center, parent and family programs, and student health and well-being. And so I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Allison Leach Hughes. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I serve as the Director of New Student Orientation. We're really excited to talk with you not only tonight, but also at orientation when you join us here in a couple of weeks. So yeah, I'll pass it along to our next presenter.
Hey, y'all. Mike Dial. I work with the University Advising Center of Undergraduate Advising, and a proud supporter of the Gamecock women's basketball team and three-time national champions.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lena Holt. I serve as the Director of Parent and Family Programs, and I'm looking forward to talking with you all this evening.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sean Coleman, and I am the Associate Director for Strategic Initiatives for Student Health and Wellbeing.
Yes, and echoing Mike, we are very happy in Columbia, South Carolina right now. Congratulations to our women's basketball team for winning the 2024 National Championship. So very cool. Before we get started with questions, I want to tell each of you how you can ask questions. So to ask questions, there should be a green interact button on the top right-hand side of your screen. In order to ask questions, click it, and a text box should show up that would allow you to submit your questions to our panelists. Now, I will say, in addition to our panelists that you see with you on the screen, we also have a few members of our orientation staff that are backstage as well that are answering questions. So whatever questions you should submit should receive a response either via chat or live with our panelists for everybody to see. While you all are asking questions and submitting and thinking of questions that you had to ask, I do have a few pre-selected questions for our panelists. And Allison, I will start with you. Right? Orientation is this really big word, and there's a lot of different things to experience with that. And so my question for you is, what should I expect at orientation?
Yeah, this is a great question to get us started for sure. New Student Orientation is a really awesome event, and it's a time designed to help you learn a little bit more of the ins and outs of the University of South Carolina in general. We want you to figure out how to navigate campus, learn about all the different campus resources that you'll have the opportunity to engage with. You'll get the opportunity to meet with an academic advisor, which Mike will tell you a little bit more about here in just a little bit, and some of those academic requirements before you even begin registering for classes, which also will happen at New Student Orientation. And then you'll really have the opportunity to connect with other incoming students as well as faculty and staff that are really here to help support you throughout your transition to Carolina. For our freshman students, it's a 2-day orientation program that runs roughly from May to July. And we also have a family and supporter orientation that runs concurrently with the student sessions that we do really highly recommend for family members to participate in. And Lena will tell you a little bit more about that. But it's a really great orientation program, and it's a really awesome way to really kick off that support of helping your student transition to the university and embark on this new journey. I I promise as you go throughout new student orientation, it's not just sitting in a big room and listening to people talk at you. We try to make it a really immersive experience and a really engaging opportunity for you. You'll get to go to different parts of campus. You'll have the opportunity to connect with different people within your small group, and even an orientation leader who's an upperclassman who has been really successful at the university, which is really great. You'll have the opportunity to pick and choose between things you want to learn a little bit more about, individualized sessions. And then we even have some fun built into the orientation program as well. Not that the rest of it's not fun, but this is especially fun, where you'll get a feel for life at Carolina with Gamecocks After Dark, which is our evening programming. So it's going to be a good time, and we're happy to answer any questions you have as you kind of get ready for that orientation experience.
Thank you very much, Allison, for that overview. I'm now going to switch over to Mike. And so, Mike, my question for you is, will I get my class schedule at my new student orientation session?
Absolutely. So as Allison said, the freshman program, first year program is 2 days, transfers 1 day. Both experiences end with advising and registration. So you'll meet probably in a mix of one-on-one and a group setting with an academic advisor or group of academic advisors in your college. And then if you're not already in a computer lab, you'll be taken to a computer lab where you'll work through our registration system and select your classes right then and there and leave with your schedule.
Awesome, thank you. Lena, I'm going to go to you for my next question. Very big question, very big general question. What resources are available at the University of South Carolina for our family members and supporters of students?
Absolutely. So I'll try to be brief, but I do want to provide all the different angles of support that we have for our parents and families. So a couple of things to note is the Office of Parent and Family Programs is here to support all of our parents, supporters, family members of our students. So don't hesitate to call our office. You can email our office, which will provide all this in just a little bit. But we have a dedicated phone line. So that means as a family member or parent, you're able to call us directly and know that someone is going to answer the phone. It's not an automated system. It's truly myself or my colleague Blair answering calls to support our families. Emails also go directly to myself and my colleague Blair. So it's just a small team here, but we're really here to help you navigate campus. So when you have questions and concerns and you don't know who to go to, that's when you should be calling our office. Obviously, if you're like, yep, I need to talk to the University Advising Center, call them. Their number is 803-777-1222. I have it memorized. But if you don't know who to call, you should be calling our office so we can get you to the right place the first go around. We really want you to feel that you have somewhere to go so you can get connected to the right resources. I would say, I know that our office is the primary resource, but orientation, Allison's team is wonderful. They have their live chat, and I know they're so helpful when they're answering questions for our families. And so I actually lean on them sometimes too. So I think that's another great resource throughout the year. I know they're primarily your resource in the summer, but there's definitely an office that always has somebody to help and support when you have questions. The other thing we require, and really, well, not require, but I would ask that you all do, is join the Gamecock Family Hub. If you are interested in staying connected to what the university is doing, resources to support your student throughout their time at Carolina, the Gamecock Family Hub is the easiest way to do that. And you simply just have to go to our website. And again, I'll mention those at the end, but really easy way to start getting communication. And then we also do social media, Facebook and Instagram. Those are secondary. So I really will emphasize that our website, our Gamecock Family Hub are our primary communication tools, and that Facebook and Instagram is to highlight other things that are happening on campus. So you can then nudge your student to attend resources, events that are happening across campus. So really here to help our families as much as possible. And then we also host webinars throughout the year on different topics that are relevant and timely to families throughout the semesters.
Thank you so much, Lena, for telling us about all the different things that are available in a brief overview. Sean, I'm going to take my last question before I turn it over to our audience to you. And so my question for you is, are there any forms or items that students need to complete regarding student health and well-being?
Yes, so that is a great question. So we do ask that as soon as you get your USC credentials, please log into My Health Space and upload your immunization records, because we do have a list of required immunizations and highly suggested immunizations that we would like for students to get prior to joining us for classes. You can find out more on our website at www.sc.edu/wellbeing. And then we also do have our student health insurance plan, which students are able to opt in, or if you have your own insurance, please make sure that you upload that information, and you can go to our website and find it under the insurance tab as well.
Thank you very much, Sean. And so now we're going to turn the conversation to you all, our audience, and whatever questions you have for our panelists. One thing I really want to emphasize is that we have amazing representation across the university that can answer your questions in this space. So definitely, whatever questions you have for our panelists, please submit them. As a reminder, you can submit your questions by clicking the green interact button on the top right-hand side of your screen. Submit your question there, and we'll get them answered. But I already have my first question that we want to ask. And so Allison and Lena, I imagine this will be a combination of you two answering, but we want to learn a little bit more about the parent and family member and supporter experience at New Student Orientation. And so do family members and supporters attend New Student Orientation, and what is that like?
Sure. I can jump on in, and I know Lena probably has some other tidbits to share. Students definitely do encourage their families to attend New Student Orientation. Like I mentioned earlier, we do have a concurrent parent, family, and supporter program, and we would love to have family members join us so you get to know a little bit more about the university and all of the different programs and resources that aren't just available to the student side of things, but also are there to support the family members as well. We kind of believe that if we provide support and assistance and guidance to family members, we're helping students as well. And that's really our goal, is to just make sure that students are getting the support that they need and families are getting the support they need to support their students. So a little bit about the orientation program itself. It is still a 2-day program. It coincides with your students' orientation experience, runs roughly the exact same times and definitely the same days. And some of those sessions, you're going to be there with your student. We've got some generalized sessions that are telling you about different resources you'll hear about on campus, things like parking and transportation. Maybe you want to learn a little bit more about safety on campus. All of those are generalized presentations that students and families will be together for during New Student Orientation. But we do have some family-specific programming that happens throughout New Student Orientation, sessions where you get to learn a little bit more about what to expect for move-in day. You have the opportunity to hear directly from Lena again and learn a little bit more in detail about what Parent and Family Programs does. We also do a session just talking about some of the transitions that your students might experience throughout their first year or first semester at USC. So there's a lot of really good information there. And I would say in general, most students will bring a family member or supporter with them to New Student Orientation. I like to think of it as I always like a second set of ears just to kind of take everything in, because there's a lot of really good information. And honestly, family members probably have some questions there too that maybe the students aren't worried about, but the family members might be worried about. And so we want to make sure that this is a really good, solid decision for everybody involved. So we do highly recommend you attend.
The only thing I'll join in and share is I recently did a focus group with some parents for orientation. And one thing that a parent shared that I think is so valuable is she loved going through the orientation experience with her son this past summer. She said that she felt like she was on this journey and understanding the university and the resources, and felt like they were taking notes separately, but they had something to talk about on their way home. And I know Allison does a great job sharing kind of like the next steps for our parents and supporters in a session she provides, but it really is an opportunity for you to connect and bond with your student as they make this transition to the collegiate environment. And so highly recommend. And if a parent or a direct parent or guardian can't attend, I've seen siblings attend. I've had an aunt, I've interacted with aunts, uncles. So it doesn't always have to be the direct guardian if that's not a possibility. There can be others who support your student and can still be there to support them along the way. But it's a great opportunity to learn a lot about the university and kind of just take notes and be there as that like second year, as Allison shared.
We love having our family members and supporters join us this summer, so definitely encourage you all to join if you are able to. Mike, I'm going to go to you with my next question that I'm seeing here. So seeing some questions about how do we prepare for our advisement and course registration during new student orientation. We're seeing things about math placement, foreign language placement. What are all the things that we should be doing to make sure we're prepared this summer?
Yeah, great questions. I'll highlight a couple things and do my best not to ramble because there's lots of resources and things you can do. But sc.edu/advising, we always have advising and registration resources out there for students. That's a good place to go for links for preparing for advisement, just in general, but also during the summer months. We're going to send you, or it'll be part of your orientation platform when you get in there, your registration pre-orientation worksheet that's going to walk you through some important resources and questions that we need to get answered. And that'll be a good way for you to do some of the prep too. So letting us know scores you got on AP test, any dual enrollment credits you're bringing in. Regarding placement tests, generally speaking, the sooner the better. But we want to ideally have those placement tests done 2 weeks before you come to orientation. That gives time for all those records to end up where they need to be. You can also retake the math placement test. So if you take it one time and think you could do a little better, taking it early gives you that time to do that before you come to orientation. You can always retake the math placement test after orientation, so that won't necessarily hurt you if you want to retake it, but ideally beforehand. It's also some more questions on math placement. One specifically about statistics. Most of our stats classes don't require it, but some of your science classes will also have implications for math placement. So encourage you all to just do the math placement test when you have some time between now and orientation. Same thing with the foreign language placement test, especially if you have recently taken some foreign language. Take that test while it's still fresh on your mind. Don't wait until you're a sophomore, junior to take that test. Otherwise, there's some resources online. You could look up sc.edu and just search the academic bulletin, search for things like major maps. Those are keywords. I can share some links with Noah that can be shared out too. I'll say, though, don't get too tied when you look at the major map or you look at course requirements, because we're going to get you a full schedule this summer, but it might not be the exact schedule you want your first semester. So, if you have high hopes and dreams of not having class on Fridays and all your classes between noon and 3, and you're going to get your history and your psych done first semester, I love that for you. I love that you're dreaming. It just might not be your dream this semester, but we're going to get you a full schedule of degree applicable classes. So don't get too tied to what you see freshmen, first year students typically take in a first semester.
Thank you very much, Mike. I'm going to stick with you for my next question. And so, speaking about the advising experience beyond orientation, can students expect to have that same advisor for all 4 years, or what does that look like generally for students at university?
Another good question. So at the University of South Carolina, you're going to be assigned an advisor who's with you for your entire 4 years. It may or may not be the person you talk to at orientation. We try really hard to do that, but in a lot of cases, we'll have 5 advisors in a room with 15, 20 students, and we do our best to make those assignments. Our colleges, I should say, do their best to make those assignments along the lines of who you chat with, but it may not be a possibility. But once you get started, you're going to have an advisor who's along with the ride with you for 4 years. You'll meet with them every semester before you can register for classes, and we have a holistic model of advising here at USC. So obviously we're focused on academics and the classes and getting you into degree applicable courses, but we're also talking about experiential learning, the involvement, the things you can do at Carolina that augment your curriculum, and then also career exploration and really thinking about your career readiness along the way.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. Now I'm going to shift the conversation. I think a lot of us can play into this about advice for our out-of-state students that are attending new student orientation. So one question, and more specifically, is how do our out-of-state students who might not be from the Columbia area or might not be similarly close, how do they get the most out of coming to new student orientation this summer?
I can hop in and talk a little bit about the front and back ends of new student orientation. Trust me, during orientation, you'll get a really good view of campus. You'll go to a lot of different places. If you haven't done a tour, that's totally okay. A lot of students are like, oh, I should do that first. You'll get a pretty good feel for where campus, where things are on campus as we move throughout the different buildings. I do think it's really helpful for an out-of-state student if you have the ability maybe to come in the night before or maybe to stay until the next day. And we do have that built into the residence hall component of new student orientation. If you need to select to stay an additional day or come a day early, you can add that into your registration portal when you register for orientation, or even if you've already registered, you can go and add that back on. And that's super helpful for folks to, just get a little bit of breathing time after new student orientation or before new student orientation, especially if you're trying to catch a flight or have any special arrangements along those lines. If you are coming from the Charlotte area with an airport, I always like to recommend Columbia Charlotte Shuttle. They're a great partner to us at new student orientation, and there's more information in your confirmation emails about them, and I highly recommend that as well. That way you don't have to worry about renting a car if you don't want to, and that's a service you can actually use throughout the school year as well, if Charlotte will kind of be your main airport that you travel in and out of. But I think the other things that come to mind for me is that, just making sure you have really good, clear goals of what you want out of new student orientation. Obviously, we told you you'll get your class schedule and everything built, but if you want to learn about other things, or maybe you just want to explore the city of Columbia, letting an orientation leader know, or letting a staff or faculty member know that you're interacting with, what's your favorite part of the community, or what's your favorite place to eat in Columbia. I think it's those special things, even outside of the orientation program, that help you get the most of your experience. I know a few different times throughout the summer this last year, students were asking where they might be able to find a place of worship, and that was really important for them. And so we were able to direct them to Interfaith Council on our campus and give them a list of resources where they can start figuring out where they can do that before they even step foot on campus for fall classes. So I think it's those types of things, and not being shy to ask questions. Trust us, even if we don't know the answer right off the top of our heads, we will get information for you, and hopefully help you walk away feeling super comfortable about your time at Carolina.
So there are lots of questions about the overnight piece of our freshman new student orientation experience. And so for our audience, it is a 2-day experience, just echoing what Allison has said, and our incoming students are required to stay overnight on campus. Allison, I was hoping you could kind of explain a little bit about what the roommate matching process looks like, where our students will be staying on campus, and just generally what that experience is like.
Yeah, absolutely. So about a month before your orientation experience, you will get a pre-arrival guide, which is a really good resource that's going to tell you everything to expect and kind of honestly summarize a lot of what we're talking about here today. But I'll give you a little bit of a teaser, because I know I am an information person and I like to prepare and plan. For our folks, all of our students attending orientation, y'all will be staying in Campus Village, which is one of our newest residence halls on campus, which is really nice. We actually did a tour of it today, getting ready for y'all already. So Campus Village is a really nice area. You will be assigned a roommate. It's a random roommate matching process, and there are 4 people total to a suite, 2 people per room, and then you would share a bathroom with that group of individuals. So it's a pretty sweet deal. It gives you a really good idea of what to expect throughout the fall and spring semesters as you're living with us on campus. I definitely encourage people to think about what can I fit in this room? What are the most important things for me to bring? And in regards to orientation itself, the overnight component for students is already automatically built in to your new student orientation fee. So you don't have to worry about that unless you're wanting to stay a day early or a day later, like I just mentioned for our out of state or maybe a little bit further away folks. If you are out of state and you are unable to, travel with linens or anything like that, you can, as supplies are available, rent linens from the university housing conferences staff. They'll be available on site and able to provide those linens to you for a fee. So that's something that we often get asked. Yeah, I'll pause here and see if there are any other more specific questions, but it is a good time staying on campus, and I think it's really beneficial to just help you figure out what to expect in the upcoming semester.
Thank you, Allison. Sean, I'm going to switch to you for my next question. So a couple of questions here about the health forms that need to be submitted. And so wondering, where do we submit those health forms and what forms are important to be submitting?
Awesome. Thanks for that question. So as I said earlier, you can find our direct link at www.sc.edu. /wellbeing. And on there, the left side, we have a tab called My Health Space. That is where you will upload all of your immunization records, your anything required to student health insurance. So that is basically our version of MyChart. So you're able to information in there, and that's where you will also communicate with your on-campus physician if you do decide to be seen at our student health center. But we do ask that you upload that at least within your first few weeks of coming to campus so that we can have that in our system and have you cleared for that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing, Sean. Mike, I'm going to turn the conversation back to you. So a couple of our students who are registered for some of the later sessions are expressing concern that they may not be able to get registered for classes. And so I was hoping you could speak to what it would look like in later orientation sessions to get registered during the orientation experience.
Great question. And before I answer it, I just want to echo what Sean said. I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to get all those immunization forms in. Allison's eagerly endorsing as well. If you come to orientation and we don't have your immunizations verified, there's a strong possibility we won't be able to get you registered for classes. So that is one of the most important things you can do. Regarding availability of classes will be available. You'll just have fewer options later in the summer. And that's just the unfortunate truth of it. As we have students registering throughout the summer, the ability to, select this time over that time is going to become a little bit more limited, but you're absolutely going to get registered. You'll have a full schedule. All those classes will count towards your degree. You'll just have less flexibility. Sorry.
Yeah, and so definitely echoing Mike, there might be less flexibility, but you'll definitely be able to get registered for classes. And so there's definitely no concern for that at all. Next question, and I'm pretty sure this will be both Allison and Mike. Some students might decide that they want to change their major. And so when should they change their major? How should they change it? Can they change during new student orientation? And how easy is that process?
Yeah.
I'll let you go first,
Okay,
Mike.
Yeah. So yeah, you absolutely can change your major before, during, and after orientation. The average student changes their, not at USC, but nationally, changes their major 5 times. That's an average, not a goal. So we know that exploring, and that's perfectly okay. Before orientation, starting on April 15th, our exploratory advising team, who are specially trained in all the majors on campus and can help you think about what major is going to fit your goals and interests and strengths and future passions best, is starting what they call new student major change sessions. So you can schedule those at sc.edu/advising. If you're interested in talking to an exploratory advisor about majors, we'll absolutely have the ability for you to do that. Change your major at orientation as well. our goal is to get you with the college of your choice, so that we can get you advised by an advisor who's well trained in your discipline. If by any chance you change your mind after orientation or during the summer, no problem. We'll get you with our exploratory advising team, and we'll make sure that your classes are still on track in your new major. So we'll get you taken care of whenever you decide to make that switch. I also highlight, there was one question on a similar vein about our undeclared major. We do have an undeclared major within the College of Arts and Sciences. The 2 advisors that work with that program are actually exploratory advisors. So they're trained in 150 plus majors on campus, and they work with students in their first year to explore multiple pathways and get them to the major of their choosing as fast as possible. Last thing I'll say, the only majors, unless you're an honor student, that you can't change into during the summer or in the College of Nursing and within the Darla Moore School of Business, they're at capacity, but we do have application processes and ways that you can make your way to nursing and business after the start of the summer.
And within your orientation portal, if you have already registered, it does give you kind of a task list item of how to actually go through and change your major. So if you 100% know what you want to switch to now, you can do that as an admitted student. All you need to do is go back through your USC admissions portal. But as Mike suggested, it also outlines all of that exploratory advising information too, which I think is really helpful. As someone that exceeded the average of times that changed their major, not prior to orientation though, I changed my major 6 times throughout my undergrad experience. And I know that was a lot of stress and anxiety. And so definitely want to get you in the right major as soon as we can. So if you can do that prior to orientation, I think that's going to be the smoothest experience. So if you know for sure, go ahead and do that now and pick your orientation date accordingly. If you don't know, set up one of those exploratory advising meetings. Those are so helpful. And I personally wish I would have done that because I think I would have landed on the right major for me a little bit closer to you. But like Mike said, we definitely can accommodate you in orientation. Just again, the sooner the better is always super helpful for us. And hopefully will make your experience go really smoothly.
Thank you both. Lena, I want to go to you for my next question. We have a couple of family members and supporters who are curious how they can get connected with the Parent and Family Programs office before their new student orientation experience.
Absolutely. So the first step I would recommend is join the Gamecock Family Hub. So if you go to sc.edu/parents, you'll see the first thing it'll say is join the Gamecock Family Hub. You'll fill out your profile, create your account, and once you join, you have the ability to join regions. And so this is a new concept that we've launched this spring, and it allows families within specific regions to make connections. So we have a Midwest, the Southwest, the Southeast. We have like 9 different regions. We have 4 within South Carolina because we have so many in-state students as well. And so that allows families to make connections within the regions. It also allows you to join some of the virtual events. So we're doing virtual connects with our regions. And so we hosted around this spring and it was great. We actually had a lot of incoming families join us. So we had current families and incoming families on a call having conversations about their students' experience, what questions they had. And so we'll be hosting more in May and early June. So the sooner you join the Gamecock Family Hub, the sooner you'll have access to connect to our office, but also to other families. The other way to stay connected to our office, I would say, is follow us on Facebook and the Instagram. I think that's a great way to stay connected. We're constantly sharing resources from our orientation team. I've posted for our advising team, Gamecock Entertainment. There's a ton of offices and areas that we're constantly pushing out so that you stay connected to the university. And then the other way to stay connected, I would say, is consider coming to Family Weekend. It's in the fall. It's September 19th through the 21st. It's a great opportunity for you to meet other families, meet your students' roommates, parents, and family members, and other students around campus. And it's just a full event at USC. I know families have been to other campuses, but it transforms. We have so many events happening all day on Friday, football game on Saturday. It's just a great opportunity for you to make connection, not only to your students' new home, but to other families at campus. So those are a couple of ways to make connections to our office, but also current families during your time.
Yes, awesome. Thank you, Lena. And I will echo, like Lena mentioned, the social media and that way of staying connected. At the end of this webinar, I'll share social medias and also emails to stay connected with all the offices that you see. So definitely going to give you that contact information. Mike, I'm going to go back to you. So there's been a lot of questions. I know we mentioned getting the math placement exam done as quickly as possible, but do you know when the math placement and foreign language exams will be available to take?
Can you come back to me with that? A little digging and exploring. The math department and our Department of Literature, Languages, and Cultures run those tests. So they are the experts, but let me do a little digging on the website and I will chime back in when I get that answer for you.
We'll come back to it. Sean, so I have a couple of questions for you now. So my first question is, if a student has submitted an incorrect form into their My Health space, can they go back into this form to fix it on their file?
Yes. So if you do submit the wrong form or an incorrect form, you do have the ability to go back into My Health space and either delete it or just upload a newer version of whatever document it is. But you do have the ability to change it out if you did submit the incorrect form.
Perfect. And then earlier, I know you mentioned the health insurance plan that's available for students to have while they're here at the University of South Carolina. And so is this health insurance plan required? Are students able to opt out of that? And how would they do that if possible?
So another great question. So all students taking 6 or more credit hours, so whether that's first year undergraduate, graduate, professional, or international students, we do ask that you complete the sign up for the insurance or that you complete the waiver process if you do have your own insurance. And as you come to campus, you'll see more marketing around the completion dates that we ask. But right now it is, we do ask that you submit your insurance or either opt into the student health insurance plan by September 6th.
Thank you, Sean. And I will say this too, as a student myself, I promise you get those email communications a lot. So you're very aware of how to submit that form, where the link is, so that they are very great at sending that communication prior to that deadline. Allison, I'm going to switch the conversation back to you. So big question, what do you bring to new student orientation?
Oh, that's a great question, for sure. So there's a lot of things that are going to be super helpful for you. Obviously, anything that you would need in the residence hall. I think of like when you go away to camp, like you need to bring linens and towels and things like that. Again, if you need to rent those, you can do that on an as needed basis, but it is not automatically included. So definitely keep that in mind. That's a big piece for that overnight stay, which is required for our students. That is one big thing. We also encourage you to make sure you have your VIP ID and your USC system password written down somewhere so you have it easily accessible or at least memorized in your brain. Those are all things that we will need in order to get you registered for classes. If you have any holds, that's information we would need to get those things lifted. So it's really helpful to have those committed to memory by then. We do encourage students to bring their transcripts with them just to refer back to for their academic advising experience and their pre-orientation advising worksheet, which I think Mike mentioned a little bit earlier already. You will be given a parking pass for new student orientation, and that is definitely something that you'll want to have displayed on your vehicle if you are choosing to park with us on campus. In order to pick up your Carolina card, you're going to need a state issued ID or a driver's license just so we can make sure that it is you. And on that note, don't forget to actually upload your photo and skip the line a little bit and have that ready to go for pickup on the first day of orientation. It is an indoor program. We're moving around campus. So we always encourage folks to wear really comfortable shoes and comfortable clothes. And I always personally recommend a light jacket or a rain jacket or umbrella. It can get chilly in some of our meeting spaces, and also we're rain or shine. There's a lot of things we can control, but unfortunately the weather is not one of them. And we'll be out there with you too, I promise. But don't forget to bring some of those items as well. There are a few specific majors or colleges that have requested folks to bring a laptop in order to assist with their academic advising and course registration experience. And off the top of my head, that's going to be nursing and social work, as well as global studies and cyber intelligence. So if you do fall into one of those majors or colleges, please make sure to bring a personal device. That way they can expedite that course registration process for you. I think those are the main things, but I also always love to give a quick shout out to our Gamecock Community Pantry. The community shop is a really great opportunity for you to already start participating and giving back to the community that you are joining. It's our food pantry on campus. And we do a service project every year and encourage students, families, and supporters to bring with them maybe just one or two extra items. We have a lofty goal this year. I'm really proud of it. Jared said this on one of our podcast episodes of getting cocky about orientation, and put the goal out there that we are going to raise 10,000 items for the Gamecock Community Shop. And you get to be instrumental in setting a new goal for us. So we're really excited about that. There's more information on the orientation website, which is sc.edu/orientation.
Yes, and I know last summer we set a goal and we exceeded that goal, and so we're hoping to do that again this summer. But thank you, Allison. Allison, I'm going to stick with you, just shifting the conversation to the cost of the new student orientation program. So what costs can students and family members expect when registering for new student orientation? And then also a couple questions about how much the cost might be for staying that extra night before or after an orientation session.
Yeah, great questions. So for our freshman students, you're paying a $250 orientation fee, and that includes your one night of overnight accommodations between day 1 and day 2, as well as all of your meals throughout day 1 and day 2. So that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner on day 1, and breakfast and lunch on day 2. So a total of 5 meals plus a snack or 2 in there, which is really great. It also covers all of the staffing and materials that you'll receive during new student orientation, as well as the space reservations and transportation, things like that. For our family members, if you choose to participate, which again, we highly do recommend, it's $115. It does not include overnight accommodations. A lot of our family members will choose to stay in a local hotel and just kind of get a feel for the area. And we've got some discount codes listed on our website, and they're also in your confirmation emails. So definitely check those out. Save a little bit of money there. But it's $115 for our family members. And again, that covers all of the meals, the programming materials, and the logistical pieces of new student orientation. For the early overnight component, for a student wanting to stay on campus the night before their orientation or the day after their orientation, I believe that's a $30 per night charge. So that would be $250 plus 30 the day before, or 30 the day after, or 60 total if you wanted to do both the day before and the day after. For our family members, if you're really itching for that residence hall experience, you also can stay in the residence hall, but it is an additional fee. And I would encourage you to look on the conferences website, which is linked on the new student orientation website as well. And you can make an overnight accommodation there for a stay in the residence halls. You will not be staying with your student. You will be staying in a different residence hall within the campus village area as well. So that's just an important designation. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the overnight accommodation rate for that is $150 for the orientation experience that one night.
Thank you very much, Allison. Mike, I'm going to shift to you for my next question. So a couple questions here. After students receive their schedule during their new student orientation experience, are they able to change that schedule?
Yes, you absolutely can change your schedule. If you sign up for anything that your advisor didn't recommend at the time you were advised, check back in with them to make sure what you're taking still counts in your degree program. Often students will make a new friend at orientation and they're chatting afterwards, and person A says, yeah, I'm taking this math class, and someone else says, well, I'm taking stats, 110. There's a chance in your major stat 110 won't count. So want to make sure that you're working with your schedule, but you'll change your schedule the exact same way you'll register at orientation.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. And then also echoing something that Mike said earlier, those major maps are a great tool to seeing what classes are required for your major and which ones will count. Lena, going to you now. You mentioned Family Weekend and all the exciting camaraderie that's available then. How do you purchase a ticket for the football game during Family Weekend? As well as how do you register for Family Weekend?
Absolutely. So Family Weekend registration opens in July. It's usually the second week of July. We're still finalizing a few more things, but to register for Family Weekend, you just simply would go to our website. We'll have a link that you can then purchase a wristband for 3 signature events. So we have the President Meet and Greet. We have a fun event we're called Rock the Roost. It's at our Wellness and Fitness Center. We have a live band, lots of fun, an enjoyable time for our families and students. And then we have a tailgate party. So families who register for the 3 signature events have the option to add on a football ticket to their registration. So it's very easy. It's a one-time purchase. You don't have to go through a football website and then our website. It's just all in one for you to do. And families often will ask, well, is there a limit? There's no limit. Really, it's if you want to bring all 5 family members and you want to bring those simply, you can bring whomever you want. We just ask that you make sure to purchase a wristband for each family member and then get those football tickets. Families can also register for Family Weekend without football tickets. So if that's something, if you have a season ticket holder or you don't want to do football, that's okay too. You can still register for the 3 signature events, which when you register through our office for the events, that includes the 3 big events, shuttle access, parking pass for campus, as well as food and beverages at those events. So they're truly large scale events with live bands and DJs and so on. So it's not just like an event on a field with no other entertainment. It's really a full experience for our families if you choose to register for the signature events. I will also note families are able to come to Family Weekend without registering for those 3 big events. So we want families to do what's best for them and their student. And if those don't look like the best experience for you, and that's okay. We still want you to come to visit your student. There's a lot of free sessions that happen all day on Friday. We just encourage families just one time, do the Family Weekend signature events and do that full experience so you can really experience that Carolina pride and be a part of that tradition. I think there was one other thing I saw in there, and you don't have to come for the full weekend. I think I saw that in one of the questions. Is if you can only make it for one of the days, that's fine. If you're local and you just want to come over and see your student, that's okay. But if you're coming from afar, I highly recommend make it an experience. Make it a full weekend experience. Come in on Thursday night, get in, enjoy getting settled in, and then take advantage of everything that's happening on Friday because there are so many resources around campus that you won't get any other time in that same fashion.
Thank you very much, Lena. And I'll just say this, Family Weekend is such a fun experience as someone who's gotten to witness it, so highly recommend attending that. Just revisiting our conversation earlier about placement exams, Mike, I'm going to come to you really quickly. When is that math placement exam and foreign language placement exam available for students to take?
Absolutely. And thank you all for your patience with me. The foreign language placement test can be signed up. So if you sc.edu search foreign language placement test, it'll take you right where you need to be to sign up for a test. For the math placement test, all students who have paid enrollment deposits by May 1st will be put into a Blackboard class, which is our learning management system here on campus. More information will be coming your way, but you'll automatically be enrolled in a math placement test on May 13th.
Thank you, Mike, for finding that information for us today. Allison, a couple of questions for you. And so we've had a couple questions about, is new student orientation required for our incoming students?
Yeah, this is where you will register for your classes. So yes, it is a required experience, and definitely encourage you to go ahead and log in and register for the first available session that you can attend that meets the dates for you. We have a deadline of registering for new student orientation by May 10th. That date is out there to allow us to be able to prepare accurately for all the wonderful folks that are coming through new student orientation. But in addition to that academic advising and course registration experience, you're going to learn a lot. Orientation is really that opportunity for you to get a solid foundation for what you'll expect in the first semester that you're attending, which probably the majority of y'all are attending in the fall semester. And so we really want to make sure that you kick off your USC experience in the very best of ways. And you'll have the opportunity to connect with the experts of the institutions, our students, faculty, and staff, to be able to answer any of those questions so you do feel really solid when you're starting off in that fall semester. So it is a required experience. I promise it is not boring. It is entertaining and fun, and we do our very best to really customize it to give you all the information that you need in order to be successful.
Awesome. And then another question that I have for you. So for our students and family members and supporters who have food allergies, how can they go about getting those accommodations during their orientation experience?
Yeah, this is really great. And I'm going to broaden it just a little bit to say just accommodations in general. Food allergies are obviously one of our largest accommodation requests, but we also have some folks that have mobility accommodations that they need to put in as well. And so we always want to make sure we are super accommodating, and we are. When you register for new student orientation, we'll ask each student that registers if they have any accommodation requests that they'd like to put in. And we also ask any guest or family member or supporter that's registered if they have any accommodations that will be needed during new student orientation. And if it is something that we can reasonably accommodate, we will absolutely do what we can to do that. I think the most common ones are food allergies, like I mentioned. And the thing that I love about our dining area on campus, Carolina Food Co., they take that accommodations report, specifically with all of our allergens. They send it to our on-campus dietitian, and they work through the different meals that are provided during new student orientation and make sure you know what is safe for you to eat and what is maybe not safe for you. We have true balance stations across campus and a lot of our dining halls, and especially the ones that we use during new student orientation. You'll have the opportunity to eat in the pavilion, which is down in Campus Village for breakfast, as well as Gamecock Park, which is in the Russell House. And both of those have true balance stations, which eliminate 9 of our top 9 allergens, which means it's completely safe for you, which is great. And then the caveat that I'll add, kind of not just at orientation, but really throughout the year, is to register that accommodation with the Student Disability Resource Center. They are present during new student orientation, during the resource fair. So if you haven't had a chance to connect with them until then, that's totally okay. But I encourage you to connect with them then so you can register that accommodation and make sure that we get you connected with a dietitian so you can do an intake appointment and you can get all of the accommodations that you need. And that is not only just to dietary restrictions as well. It is those mobility pieces. It's note taking, it's extended time on testing, anything along those lines. We'll definitely want to get you connected to the Student Disability Resource Center so we can help you have the best experience possible. And if you do get to orientation and you see something that doesn't feel a little right, please don't hesitate to let a member of our team within new student orientation know, or all of our dining professionals will also be there, and they've been super helpful and responsive. I know there's some anxiety about potentially eating something that could physically cause you harm, and I've really appreciated the time and care and attention that they have taken to just walk through the ingredients list and give a little bit more insight. And there's also student organizations you can join to continue to advocate for really good options on campus too. So if you have any questions about that, let us know at orientation. We'll get you set up.
Perfect. And special shout out to our SDRC and our Student Disability Resource Center and the amazing work that they do. Sean, I'm going to go to you for my next question here. So if a student has insurance through their family and they choose not to do the USC insurance, are they still able to be seen by the physicians that are on campus?
Yes, so you do not have to have our student health insurance plan to be seen by any of our physicians on campus. And you can also utilize our pharmacy with your own insurance plan as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Sean. And then another question that I have for folks that are updating immunizations right now, some cases that might say awaiting review, others it may say not satisfied. What is the difference between those messages and their immunizations portal?
So awaiting review, usually if you have uploaded those documents, just our staff has not reviewed it yet, that is what that means. Now, if it says not satisfied, that means that either you have uploaded incorrect documents or you do not have the necessary documents or immunizations required.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sean. Well, what we are going to do is we're going to start wrapping up because time is starting to come pretty short for us here. And so I'm going to put a couple of things on the screen that are important for you all to know before we wrap up this webinar. And so the first thing should be appearing now. Perfect. So this QR code is a really great resource for you all to have prior to your new student orientation experience. This is our registration guide, has our schedule, has a lot of the information we've discussed today. So highly recommend going ahead and scanning this QR code so you can have this information with you during this webinar and beyond. All right, and now I will turn it to Lena.
Thank you, Noah. So for parent and family programs, I've mentioned it several times, but the Gamecock Family Hub is really your one-stop shop to staying connected to the university and being able to utilize resources in an easy way. Our website, you go to that website and you'll find all the resources all in one place, so highly recommend. Oftentimes I'll tell families, look at our website before you need it. Take a moment and just review the resources that we have so that when something comes up, you at least are familiar with how to navigate that website. It's very easy, but it does help in that way. Save our phone number and email. You can reach us and we'll support you and guide you through any situation that we can. And then, of course, save the date, family weekend. It's a great experience, but it definitely is a busy weekend. We host a webinar in June to kind of prepare families on how to register, kind of walking you through all the signature events so that you can make the best decision and an informed decision on whether you want to register for our events or not, or if you want to come and not do those events. So I would say for our families, please utilize us as a resource. Don't hesitate to call. I got a call today and a parent just had some concerns and I was able to send them like list of hyperlinks and kind of guided them through the best ones based on what they shared with me, and then they can make the best decision of which ones they want to push forward to their students. So again, we're not going to be here telling you exactly what to do, but we're going to give you all the resources, and then you all can make some good decisions of how you want to support your student while they're at Carolina. So just let us help you along your journey.
Awesome. Thanks all again for letting me spend a little bit of time with you today. The University Advising Center is here to help in any way we can. Like I said, students will be assigned an advisor this fall once they get started with us, and that person should be with them for the next 4 years while they're at Carolina, unless, of course, they change majors into a new college, and we'll get you another highly trained advisor in your new space. Lots and lots of resources on our website at sc.edu/advising. Certainly that phone number there, 222 will get you the support. Our website also has a live chat that's great for students and parents to utilize. Email us, and then our social medias. We try to do a good job of pushing out recommendations and tips and tricks to make the most of your advising and registration experiences, not orientation, but all year long. So keep up with us on Instagram specifically. We're not as active on Twitter as we used to be, but I'm sorry, X. Reach out to us in any way that you need to so we can support you in whatever ways we can.
Awesome. So student health and well-being, just echoing everything that everyone else said. Our website is the #1 place that you can go to find information about the services and resources that we provide, but we're just not clinical services. So we do wellness promotion, mental health services. We're a part of campus recreation. So visit our website and definitely follow us and stay connected on Instagram. That way you can figure out what is happening, what events we're doing, what activities, as well as we have student employment opportunities. So as you enter campus as a first year, if you want to have a student job on campus, we have multiple opportunities for you to get involved.
All right, and I get to round out our information sharing. New student orientation, we are here to help you throughout the entire experience from now, even after you've attended new student orientation. Again, one of the best ways to find out information is through our website, which is sc.edu/orientation. That's where that registration guide that Noah shared just a moment ago, it lives. It also tells you how you can find out about specialized new student orientations. I saw a question earlier about honors and is there a separate one, and it's all rolled into one, and there's a lot of information on our website, so I encourage you to check that out. You can definitely give our office a call, 803-777-2780. I love it when folks call our office because you are connecting with a current student, a former orientation leader within our office, and they can help give you not only just factual information but also guidance and advice as you prepare for new student orientation. So if one of your questions wasn't answered today, please feel free to give us a call and we'll get you connected to that next resource, and any of the folks that were on this call today. We have an email address that you can definitely reach out to, orientation@sc.edu. We are available on a lot of social media platforms, Instagram and X, U of SC_onso, the Office of New Student Orientation. And then on Facebook, which you will be able to find this this webinar archived a little bit later, it's /U of SC orientation. And I kind of almost said too much about the podcast because I was so excited about it. This is an award-winning podcast that we have within the Office of New Student Orientation. So if you want to learn a little bit more about what to expect and how to have the best orientation experience, we've got last season and this season, season 2 of the Getting Cocky About Orientation podcast, where you can learn from special guests all across campus that want to tell you about how to prepare for your orientation experience, what to expect, and some hidden facts about USC. So I definitely encourage you to check that out as well.
And all right, thank you all so much, our panelists, and as well as our backstage members. Thanks again to you, our audience, for attending. Please do not hesitate to reach out to any of our offices for any questions that you might have. And I hope you all have a great evening. Thank you.